I could not, find the honest passion for singing.
Been looking for me for 25 years.
Wow. Can I ask the obvious stupid question?
Mm-hmm.
What have you been doing?
Well, I've been living life.
Yeah.
I left the group because I was pretty toasty. We'd worked so hard, and we were fortunate to have such great success. And as with great success comes a serious schedule. And back in those days, we also did some external party favors. I think we can say it that way.
Yes, we can.
When you mix being kind of burned out with that,
Okay.
I just hit the wall, and I started to lose my passion for singing. And you got to understand.
At his peak, Steve Perry sang like the heavens cracked open just to let that voice through. But even the greatest voices can fade. Even the strongest lungs can ache. And sometimes, the very gift that makes you legendary is the one that breaks you. These 6 vocal lines weren't just high, they were impossible. So high, so pure, so emotionally raw, that even Steve himself said he'd never sing them again. This is a countdown of 6 moments when Steve Perry didn't just hit the note, he left the world breathless. Top 6. Lay It Down. Note, G5. In Journey's powerful deep cut, Lay It Down, Steve Perry reaches an astonishing G5, a note few singers have ever attempted, let alone executed so beautifully. Why it's impossible? The G5 lands in the upper extremes of the male range and is delivered in a chest-dominant mix, where most vocalists either crack or switch to falsetto. Perry doesn't just hit the note, he sculpts it with clarity and power. While this was a studio recording, Perry has also delivered this note in select live performances, making it even more remarkable in terms of vocal durability and control. Some vocal coaches call this moment Perry's vocal Everest, with many believing it was a peak he chose never to revisit in the same way. After fan-recorded versions circulated on tape, this note became legend. One fan described it as the note that doesn't exist on my keyboard. Top 5. Suzanne. A pristine note, a shocking climb. In Suzanne, buried on the Raised on Radio album, Steve Perry hits an A5 with devastating clarity. Why it's impossible? An A5 is soprano territory, a note most men will never access in their lives. Perry belts it in a full mix register, effortlessly. It's not a shriek, it's controlled, it's melodic, it's perfect. This performance was studio only. There is no known footage or confirmed report of Perry ever singing Suzanne live. A studio engineer claimed Perry once said, "That one's for the record. I'm not doing it on stage." Suzanne was never released as a single. Some believe this was to avoid pressure to replicate the note live. Vocal forums often refer to this as Perry's most studio magical moment. Some listeners assumed it was pitch-corrected. It wasn't. Top 4. Why Can't This Night Go On Forever? Note, B4/BB4. It begins like a ballad, but ends like a storm. In the final moments of this Journey classic, Perry takes off into a series of BB4 and B4 notes that hit like thunder. Why it's impossible? These notes come at the emotional climax of the song when most vocalists are out of breath. But Perry hits them with sustained power, drenched in emotion. This moment was consistently performed live and usually near the end of Perry's set, when his voice was already pushed to the limit. A crew member recalled Perry sometimes disappeared backstage for over an hour afterward, utterly drained. One concert recording captures audible gasps from the crowd right before the note hits. The eruption after is electric. Top 3. Happy to Give. Note, C5, a hidden gem, a beautiful tragedy. Happy to Give is less about power and more about vulnerability, yet it contains one of Perry's most technically brutal vocal lines. a soaring C5. Why it's impossible? The C5 isn't prepared. It comes unexpectedly, then dips into chest tone repeatedly. It's like a tightrope walk over vocal fire. According to one insider, Perry turned from the mic during the session and said, "That one's going to hurt." Why it's rarely discussed. Casual fans missed this track, but professional vocalists obsess over it. It's a secret masterclass in control. Top 2, Patiently. Note, a 5.
Me for your lights to shine on me. This we bring to you.
At Chicago's Uptown Theater in 1979, Perry shocked the crowd with an A5 near the end of Patiently. Not written in the original arrangement, the note was a spontaneous burst of raw power. Why it's impossible? The A5 doesn't belong in a soft ballad. Yet Perry lifts the song with it, an emotional eruption that turned a quiet moment into a vocal earthquake. This note was live only. The studio version is more restrained. Sound techs allegedly adjusted the mic afterward because the board couldn't handle the intensity. Those who attended still call it the most spiritual thing I've ever heard in a concert. Top 1, Foolish Heart. Note, emotional collapse. Here's the twist. The most impossible note Steve Perry ever hit wasn't the highest. It was the most human. Why it's impossible? In Foolish Heart, there is a note that shakes. It almost breaks. It captures vulnerability better than any vocal gymnastic ever could. It's not about range. It's about emotional collapse. This was captured in the studio during a period of real emotional weight for Perry. The vocal was recorded in a single emotional take. One engineer recalled Perry stepping back and saying, "That's all I got." Why it's number 1? Because it proved that power isn't always volume. Sometimes the most impossible note is the one that sounds like you're breaking. Steve Perry didn't just hit notes. He hit nerve endings. His voice didn't just rise, it reached. It reached into hearts, memories, grief, romance, and nostalgia. These 6 notes weren't just technical marvels. They were acts of emotional bravery. Which one gave you chills? Comment below and let the legacy live on. Because Steve Perry didn't just sing, he made us feel impossible things,